boys and girls, it's Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. Have I got some sweet ones for you? Today's books are Don't Worry, Be Happy, and The Honeybee Man by Leah Nargi and Kristen Broker. And yes, today's books are all about honey. So of course, I had to show up decked out with my honeys. Here's one of my honeys right here. Here's another one of my honeys right here. You know this guy. Here's another one of my honeys right here. And of course, my biggest honey, this sweetie right here. So everybody's in the house and we are going to have some honey fun along with my tea with, of course, honey. Let's get my palette nice and wet for these readings. Oh, I know. I think we should get the twirling out of the way right away. Ready for some beautiful twirling? That was some beautiful twirling, right? Some beautiful twirling. Some bzz, bzz, bzz twirling. All about the bzz, bzz, bzz. Bees and honey, honey, honey. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I've been preparing for these books for a while because I know quite a few beekeepers that have their own bees that make their own honey right in their very house. And I'm sending this books all about bees straight to those beekeepers who are dedicated to their bees and making their own honey. Yeah, I know some people and they are pretty awesome and they love their bees. First one is called Don't Worry, Be Happy. Best Friends Picture Day. Best Friends Picture Day. As we all know, today is Best Friends Picture Day. Yay! Wait, what? If you are present, say here. Bumble? Here. B? That is me. Here. Froggy, are you here? I wish I were somewhere else. On a count of 3, say bee. Bees. Click. Froggy, yes. Can you smile for the best friend's picture? That is a smile. Let's try this again. On 3, say bees. 1, 2, 3. Bees. Click. Froggy, yes. Can you turn that frown upside down? Why don't you turn upside down? Idea. Bees. Press 1, 2, 3. Print, scribble, printer. Best friends forever. A bad case of hiccups. Skirt. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. Poor Froggy has a bad case of the hiccups. He must help our friend now. We must help our friend now. But how? We will scare the hiccups out of Froggy. Froggy will be so happy. How do we scare Froggy? By using the element of surprise. Ah! But first, we have to ask what Froggy is scared of. Froggy, hiccup. What? What are you afraid of? Hiccup. Bears, I guess. Why? Oh no. Hiccup. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Splat, splurt. Hiccup, hiccup. Grr, ar, grr. Froggy, are your hiccups cured? Yes, why? Did you two have something to do with that? Let's just say you are very welcome. The waggle dance, the waggle dance. Waggle to your left, now waggle to your right. Do a figure 8. Nectar is in sight. What are you two doing? The waggle dance. Waggle in the world is the waggle dance. What in the world is the waggle dance? Stop. It's a dance that honeybees do. Why? To show one another where the nectar and the pollen are. And because it is fun, want to waggle with us? Do I look like I want to waggle? Do you want to waggle even a little? Not even a little waggle wiggle? Sniff sniff? Okay, but you are welcome to join in any time. Play! Waggle to the left, now waggle to the right. Do a figure 8, nectar is in sight. Can you please go waggle someplace else? Fine, we will waggle over there. Wait, you two forgot your play. Waggle to the left, waggle to the right. Do a figure 8. Do a figure 8. Hi, Froggy. Huh, what? We forgot our music. Kerplunch. Don't worry, Froggy. We did not see anything, not even a little waggle wiggle. The end of Don't Worry, Be Happy by Russ Baruch, a scholastic book. Now, the Honeybee Man. The Honeybee Man. One quiet July dawn, Fred rolls out of his bed and into his slippers. He greets two members of his enormous family. "Good morning, Copper," he calls to his dog, still curled up on the rug. "Good morning, Cat," he calls to his cat, named Cat. He stretches in a pool of sunlight. She stretches in a pool of sunlight. Fred shuffles downstairs to the kitchen and fixes a cup of tea. He takes his teacup in with one hand and creaks back upstairs, then up another flight, climbing a ladder that climbs the wall. He pushes open a hatch and pulls himself out onto the roof. All around is quiet Brooklyn City. Brownstones and linden trees, a tall clock tower, and bridges in the distance. Near the edge of the roof is another tiny city. It has 3 houses, each with 2 white stories and 1 red story, and inside, thousands of tiny rooms made of wax. From the outside, the tiny city also seems quiet. Fred inhales the smells of a summer city morning, maple leaves and gasoline, and the river and dust. He turns to the tiny city and inhales its smaller, sweeter smell, a little like caramel, a little like ripe peaches. To the first little house, Fred calls, "Good morning, Queen Map." And to the other 2 houses, "Good morning, Queen Nefertiti. Good morning, Queen Boadicea." Then Fred greets the rest of his family, which has more members than he can count. "Good morning, my bees, my darlings." Inside their houses, the 3 queen bees and their thousands of worker bee daughters don't answer. But Fred knows they are busy. The queens are laying eggs. Some workers are building wax rooms. Some are feeding babies. Some are making the hive tidy. Others are getting ready to forage in flowers abloom all over Brooklyn. Fred closes his eyes and lets his mind wander. Will Queen Mab's daughters find mint flowers as they did last year? Will Queen Boadicia's honey be dark like molasses or light and clear like amber? As he thinks about honey, Fred's mouth begins to water. I can't wait to find out. Fred pictures the park at the end of his block. He imagines his bees moving from clover to clover, flying over, then low and slow with their see-through wings, which flap and also twist like propellers. Fred wishes he could fly there with them, with the wind rushing over his back. Fred opens his eyes and the hives are alive, humming with a low hum, as low as a whisper. Fred hums back. Tell me what it's like to fly through the world. Zzz, hums the bees. To Fred, this sounds like an answer. If only he could understand. Young bees on their first flight circle in the air. There, my girls, don't be afraid, Fred says in a soothing voice. As he speaks, the young bees seem to pluck up with their courage. On the streets below, trucks rumble and the bees wail in their strollers. But inch by inch, the young bees shimmery past the edge of their tiny city. It is easy for Fred to recognize the older bees who are used to moving between their small world and the giant world of people. They zip out of the hives and throw themselves at the air, embracing it with their wings. A few land on Fred's arms. Hello, Fred, they seem to say. Hello, girls, have a nice day. Now off you go. Fred gives them a gentle flick with a finger and away they zzz. Fred watches his bees fly into his backyard garden and other gardens on the block. He sees the bees dive into sweet pea and squash flowers. If he were closer, he could see them using their tube-like tongues to drink in flower nectar, which they store in honey sacs inside their bellies. Then it's off to the next pea plant, to the sage flowers in the next backyard, and maybe, if Fred is lucky, to blooming blueberry bushes somewhere across town. When the bees return to their hives, Fred notices that they are flying slowly, heavy now with nectar. Inside, Fred knows they are performing waggle dances to tell the other where the best flowers grow. He knows that the sister bees are taking the nectar and storing it in the tiny wax rooms. And he knows that others are fanning their wings to evaporate the water from the nectar so it will turn to honey. Day after day, Fred watches the bees zip out over the blare of the city. How timeless you are, he sighs, wishing he could be as strong and as free as the bees. One afternoon at the end of August, Fred climbs again to his roof. He is wearing his black rubber rain boots and his white head veil and a scratch on his hand from the cat, who did not want to be woken this morning. He makes an announcement to the bees. Sweeties, I have come for the honey. And a plea, please don't sting me. Fred puffs clouds of smokes into the tiny houses, and the bees burrow down into the hive. From the very top floor, Fred lifts out the honeycomb. He packs it into buckets and says, thank you for this, honeybees. Zzz. Fred hauls the buckets down the ladder and into his house, where he banishes Copper, the honey-loving dog, to the kitchen. Fred sets a frame of honeycomb over a plastic tank and slices off the wax caps, and the honey begins to flow. He places the honeycomb in a spinning machine, which squeezes every last drop of honey out of it. He pours the honey into jars. Then he sticks labels to the jars. Fred's Brooklyn honey, made by tireless Brooklyn bees. In the late afternoon, Fred sits on his stoop, enjoying the cool end of summer breeze. When his neighbors come out to chat, Fred gives each of them a jar of deep gold honey. One neighbor asks, "Where did this honey come from?" And Fred says in a humming sort of whisper, "From the sweet pea flowers in your backyard, from the flowers of the linden trees shading our block, and maybe, if we're lucky, from sour sweet blueberry bushes somewhere across town." Up on Fred's roofs, the bees are huddled back in their own city, waiting for the rays of tomorrow's sun to call them up and away over Brooklyn. Their wings are tattered from flying, and the nip of autumn is in the air. Soon it will be time to rest. Down on the stoop, Fred opens a jar of honey. The honey glistens and shimmers in the last of the sunlight. Fred sticks in a finger. It is sweet like linden flowers. It is sharp like rosemary. It is ever so slightly sour. "Ah," says Fred, absorbing these happy flavors, blueberries. And that is the end of Honeybee. The Honeybee Man. Boys and girls, it is Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. I do not own the rights to any of these stories that I have read to you, but I love storytelling magic, and the magic of today's story is I worked for a few years with a lady who had her own honeybees in her yard, and she would tell me stories all the time, and I was so fascinated on how honey comes about that I knew I had to do a book about this, and I'm dedicating this to her. It was my pleasure to have worked with you and learned so much from you, and to now be able to put it in my readings to my kids so they can learn a little something, have a little fun, and of course, laugh a lot. Boys and girls, I will see you again really, really soon. And I'm not sure which of you are allowed to have honey, because honey is different for everyone. But if you are allowed to have honey, just remember what goes into making honey. It is a beautiful process. And it's all here in this book, and many more books as well. I absolutely love tea with honey, like right here. And I love my friends that are all about the honey, like this guy. He's all about the honey. You know that, right? That Pooh is all about the honey. He's not making a sound now, but sometimes, there he goes. There he goes. He's all about the honey. When you put the honey in his mouth, yeah, Pooh is all about the honey, and that's one of the reasons why I absolutely adore him. And that's one of the reasons why one of my friends absolutely adores Pooh. And I'm sending some Pooh love straight to you. And also, there's this sweet guy. So much honey to go around, so much love to go around. All can be found right here at B.O.R.E.D headquarters, with Bored with Miss Reynolds, Better Off Reading Every Day. When we're not sitting around drinking tea and hanging out with our honey friends, we are also snuggling up with our pillow pet, because that's what it's all about, snuggles. And by the way, boys and girls, if you want to really get your honey on, you should definitely get you some pajamas with some bees, hives, and honey on it. That's what I'm talking about. Sweet, sweet honey love. From one honey to another honey and all my honeys. Bye.